You ever heard that saying, lose the battle, but win the war? What does it mean? It means that victory comes at a cost. What does the idea of a hero mean, and how does one make sense of a hero in today's day and age? What did it mean to be a hero throughout history? Going back in time in American history, the story of the American Revolution is a story of a fledgling nation struggling to survive and find its identity and independence through breaking with its mother country, England. Through struggle and eventual war, it found its own identity and became the United States of America. The story of the Civil War is a story about the struggle with states' rights and slavery. Slavery existed in the North and South, yes, but through the Civil War, passing the 13th Amendment, we became a nation prepared to put a stop to and ultimately end slavery here in America. The story of World War II is a story about nations coming together to confront the evil reality that was the Axis and Hitler. We recognize genocide and the extermination of the Jewish race to be evil. Hitler faced rivals, the likes of Winston Churchill, Franklin Roosevelt, who later helped lead to Hitler being defeated. What is the idea of a hero, and how do we understand this idea in film and movies? In the movie The Matrix, it is about a man who works on computers and who is dissatisfied with his life. He works in software by day, but is a computer hacker by night. He is unable to experience real-life transformation until he learns of the existence of a completely different world, one in which computers are controlling reality. Neo meets Morpheus and is asked what he thinks about fate. He responds he doesn't like the idea and would rather have freedom and control over his own life. The movie explores the idea and the meaning of freedom, but in doing so, it upends a normal understanding of truth and reality. We are faced with the recognition everything we thought we knew to be real, everything we can see, hear, touch, and taste, was in fact being placed in doubt. The reality was, in fact, a larger battle was being waged between humans and machines. Machines were, for their own purposes, using human beings as energy. Neo and the group he was a part of were the last resistance fighting against these machines. Neo has to confront the machines and their malicious ploy in order to take back his freedom. He must put a stop to the machines and thereby save the world. It's only after he realizes the reality of being powerless and at the mercy of the machines is he then able to find his own strength and sense of freedom and ultimately destroy or defeat the machines. The Matrix explores the tension between fate and choice, the idea of making your own decisions and whether that makes you in control or not. The movie sequels continue asking this question in greater detail. My decisions are part of a greater program. Did I make freely the choices that I'm making? In The Matrix Reloaded, Neo meets the architect who implies that it doesn't matter what he does because he's already made the choice in the future. All the decisions we make are already predetermined and planned out ahead of time. But Neo's character challenges the idea of being powerless and helpless through deciding to take the red pill and discover the truth about the world. Neo, through help from the Oracle, challenges the idea of fate and predetermined outcomes and chooses to help Trinity despite being faced with a moral dilemma. Neo's ability to choose and make free choices disrupts the plans of the machines in the Matrix and allows the resistance to triumph over their control. The movie Fight Club is a story about a man dissatisfied and angry with his life. The narrator is insecure, searching for fulfillment. He's apathetic with the normal routine of going to work and deciding which kind of furniture to buy. The movie explores the idea of apathy and identity through introducing a radical life change, the battle or struggle with fighting, physical fighting. Normally, a person gains confidence and fulfillment through the challenge of everyday life experiences, right? You overcome a personal battle, a personal struggle, and you develop a track record, hopefully a successful track record. I used to be afraid of talking to customers on the phone, but now I overcame my fear and enjoy talking all day to customers. I used to dread going to the gym, but now I overcame my lack of discipline and it's my favorite thing to do during the week. You gain a sense of confidence and identity through that struggle. In these examples, overcoming your struggle with fear. In the movie Fight Club, the narrator's apathy and struggle with identity leads him down a different path. It leads him to meet and form a friendship with Tyler. Because the protagonist suffers from being without a sense of mission or meaning, the confidence and fulfillment being introduced is very base and primal. It is a product of his own apathy, anger, nihilism, the battle or struggle with fighting, physical fighting. Think of it this way: suppose your personal battles, your fear of talking on the phone, for instance, in the form of a character. If you don't do a good job of overcoming your fear of talking on the phone, this character feels empowered, threatening. But on the other hand, if you overcome your fear of talking on the phone, the character will feel dejected, sad, powerless. Overcome your fear, overcome the character. Tyler, or the Fight Club, is this negative character. His existence, the Fight Club's existence, brings attention or gives life to the protagonist's struggle with inadequacy. Later, as the Fight Club grows, it ventures into territory that is morally unclear, questionable. Questions asked by the movie include: can the self or the individual really exist when the world is dominated by money, consumerism? Can the pathway toward liberation be found in conformity? Can we really be free when we have these social structures and norms? Or can the answer to ridding the world of problems be found in destruction and rebellion? Does embracing pain, rather than trying to avoid it, lead to greater fulfillment and meaning? The problem with Tyler is that he asks interesting, thought-provoking questions, but he doesn't ever answer them. We're led on to believe Tyler to a certain extent, but when the climax is finally reached, the narrator begins to realize his life is turning to chaos. But it is through this confrontation, through this interaction with chaos and meaninglessness, that the main character is able to finally see. It is through Tyler informing the Fight Club which forces the main character to confront the reality of his own problems. He realizes Tyler is, in reality, a character he made up from his own psyche. He can finally realize Tyler is a creation of his own fascination with apathy, rage, and rebellion. For the narrator to be completely free and find his own fulfillment, he must oppose and defeat Tyler, bring an end to Fight Club, and in doing so conquer his own struggle with apathy and rebellion. In The Matrix, Neo finds freedom and control in his life when he is forced to confront the reality of being without freedom. He is forced to confront the reality of completely surrendering his freedom to the control of the machines. In order for the narrator in Fight Club to find his identity and meaning, he is forced to confront this fictional fighting club and defeat his own apathy and lack of confidence. How often have we felt like we weren't given a fair shake or the right opportunity in our lives? Our stories are often full of examples of circumstances outside of our control. How many times have the odds been stacked not in our favor, even stacked against or running counter to us? In the movie Count of Monte Cristo, we find a sympathy in the character Edmund, who is unjustly imprisoned. What does he say to the prison warden there? "But I am innocent." He responds, "I know, they sent you here. They only send innocent people to this prison because they're ashamed of them." The real world, while probably not completely unjust, as in the example of the prison, can be without question cold and harsh. It can project a picture of reality, one in which we are seen or understood to be someone other than who we are. It can seem to portray what is a distortion of the truth. It often requires our own initiative, our own reframing or recasting of ourselves in a different light. The outside world doesn't know who you are, but you, on the other hand, know yourself to be a person in transition. You know the last goal you achieved and what you had to overcome in order for you to reach that goal. Say I go through a really tough and trying experience and then return to normal life. Everything will seem a lot different, right? What seemed before to be very intimidating and difficult now may seem much easier because I have this new difficult experience I endured. It changes my perspective. I just ran a marathon. I look at other people around me, wonder how many of them have ever run or could run a marathon. This describes all of us. We are all an outgrowth of unique sets of life experiences, trials, and struggles that we've endured that make us who we are today. In such examples, the movies The Matrix, Count of Monte Cristo, the movie Fight Club, the hero is forced to confront a reality that causes him to go through a transformation. But what's interesting to remember is that a hero is forced into this situation. In a sense, Neo didn't ask to save the world from the machines. Edmund didn't ask to be betrayed or imprisoned. And Fight Club's main character wasn't specifically asked to join a fight club. Each of them had to confront the reality of the situation. In our lives, we similarly have things happen to us that we didn't necessarily ask for. We have things happening to us that are unfair and unjust, and we have to try to find and develop solutions and remedies to our unique situation. The hero is being introduced to some reality, something unfamiliar that causes them to have to grow and transform something within themselves. This injustice or painful reality forces them to develop into someone who is capable of overcoming their problem. So you shouldn't necessarily think about pain and stress as being an all negative thing. You can think of it as being an opportunity for change in your life. Think of it as an opportunity you have to rise to the occasion, to defeat turmoil, chaos, or a villain. Think about this expression: the ones who are closest to the problem are also closest to the solution. The hero's story is a story about being able to recognize problems in the world, but also about the discovery of how to overcome and defeat these problems. Our story, your story, they're similar stories. They're stories about reality and circumstance you didn't necessarily ask for. Injustice is not uncommon, and odds being stacked against you can be the norm. It's how you respond to the injustice, it's how you rise to the occasion to defeat the problem that makes you who you are. I have released this album here, playing here, The Hero's Arrival, and I am just trying to get you to think about the idea of a hero and what it can mean for you in your own life, as far as how it can be a positive or helpful force in your life. This music and some of these ideas will hopefully be challenging you and getting you to think about some of the problems or some of the realities of circumstance, situation in your life, and ways to think about how to overcome them. Some of the music is inspired by some of the hero stories and how good ultimately is triumphing over evil. So I hope that you get a chance to check out this album and let me know what you think about it. Have a good day.